everyone, hope you're doing well. Today it's time to have a look at another devblog for updates Danger Zone, and this time it's time to have a look at the truck that is coming to Italy. Italy is getting a truck armed with a 100mm gun, and it is probably my pick for the updates because it's just going to be a little bit of fun, kind of like when the GeForce came in a little bit ago. This is going to be for rank 1 for the Italians, and also at the same time it's going to be very cheap to get, since it's going to be in rank 1 and also in the tech tree on the right hand side. Let's get into the history of this machine. In the autumn of 1941, the 12th Autoraggruppamento del Regio Esercito wanted to increase the mobility of their Skoda 10cm VZ 1914 howitzers by mounting them on a truck chassis that also could be able to hurt enemy tanks. The first 4 vehicles of the 14 Batteria Autonoma clashed against British tanks on the 23rd of November 1941, and they dealt heavy losses to the enemy, but was destroyed by a German Stuka raid that confused them with a British convoy. In 1942, other 3 batteries were built, with 4 trucks each, making them the 17th Gruppo, called Batteri Volanti, which meant the flying batteries. One of these guns, commanded by 2nd Lieutenant Sergio Barbadoro, blocked the American advance to Palermo on the 22nd of July 1943 for 9 hours, with a fierce defense around without surrendering the city. It's a pretty cool story overall. So when it comes to these machines, it's actually been really nice to see them in the game. If we have a look at a few Japanese vehicles, or if we have a look at a few other nations, what we've seen is a bunch of random tank destroyers with just big derp guns at the low tiers. As I mentioned before, the Chi-Ha-RLG, you've also got the Ho-Ro vehicle in the Japanese tech tree as well. You've also got the Sturmpanzer, and these vehicles with just like larger caliber guns are just super fun at low tier, just to kind of donk people and then wander around with. I really enjoyed the overpressure change to them as well. Stuff like the good old machine with the naval cannon for the Japanese as well. It was useless for the longest time because you couldn't pen anything, but now you can just overpressure stuff, so it makes it a little bit nicer to use. That should basically be the same for this Lancia. Even though it is just a truck with a gun, it is beautifully modeled. It looks really, really nice overall for the vehicle. And also, at the same time, it has access to HESH and also AP. So we're going to have to see how those work. The anti-concrete shell doesn't pen too much right now, so it isn't that useful. The HESH RAM pens a decent amount and definitely seems to overpressure a lot of stuff, so that's quite nice for it. At least that's what I would say. And when it comes to the overall usability of this thing, it's probably not going to be that usable. You know, its reload is a little bit high, and the general meta around these BRs is more auto-cannoned machines at the lower tiers, and this thing just gets shredded by them. Also, it gets killed by planes, artillery, you know, pretty much you name it, it dies to. This thing can die to a 7.62. Because how the crew is all exposed. It does have 6 people though on the actual thing itself. You know, it's got 4 on the gun and then 2 in the front, and they did give you a nice little machine gun at the front, which is always quite nice. And also at the same time, something should be also mentioned about this vehicle. It is a revenue share program vehicle, so this is one of those that was made by a community member. It was actually made by 2 of them. So this benefits, you know, players in the community, and also shows, just like how we got the Heinkel cockpit a little bit ago, that people can make stuff and it can get added to the game, even if it is a little bit ridiculous. So if you have a penchant for building stuff, or if you have a skill in building stuff, this would be the time to get into it, right? Like, you can actually make things and get them into the game and also get paid for it, which is the other part of the deal, which is always super nice. So yeah, the 100mm doesn't really turn too well. It has a good enough gun depression, but still not the best. Also, the mobility of the machine isn't terrible, but in certain situations it's going to be pretty bad. Like, it's not going to be able to motor around the place all the time, so that kind of sucks for it. But overall, it's going to have a pretty fun little spade. You know, since it's a low-tier vehicle, its RP rewards are going to be super low. So, well, its RP rewards will be low, but its actual RP needed to research it will also be super low. So it'll probably, at least for me, be maybe 5 to 10 games of just fun gameplay where I just go around donking people and then I'm done with it. And that is a nice little refresher into the updates whenever they add these vehicles for me. And I feel like if you are a person who is grinding through Italy, at least from the lower tiers of it, you're going to run into this vehicle and, you know, you're going to put it in lineups, you're going to have a bit of fun, and it might attract more people to Italy. And that's what needs to happen, because Italy still is one of the least played nations in the game. I'm guessing Israel might be lower than it, but that's just because they've been added. Italy has been historically the lowest populated nation in-game. And more vehicles which may offer unique and different experiences will definitely help, bringing more people in. So as always, I hope you have a wonderful day, and I'll see you next time. I'd just like to thank Merciless Reaper, Jerry Provolt, Mega Dino King, Professor X1718, Orange Tail, Sakoshi Tiger, Teddy, John Ryman, Universe, Eugens Terry, Ambrosius McClellan, Daniel Stanton, Martinez, Moxie, B. Young, and Derek R., Barine, Lafouche, and Samuel Slick for supporting the channel.